They say the end of the world will begin in the Middle East. But what if I told you the earliest description of Armageddon isn't in the book of Revelation? It's hidden, deep within the ancient pages of the Ethiopian Bible, the oldest and most complete Bible on earth. A Bible older than the King James, containing forbidden books the Western Church never wanted you to read. Because within it lies a prophecy, one that doesn't just describe the end. It names the real battlefield, the real enemy, and the real survivors. Stay till the end, because what you're about to hear will completely change what you thought you knew about Armageddon and what's coming next. The Bible, the world forgot. The Ethiopian Bible isn't just old, it's ancient. Written in Ge'ez, a language older than Latin, older than English, it contains 88 books while your Bible only has 66. That means 22 missing pieces, entire texts removed from the modern canon. But why were they removed? Because many of them describe cosmic wars, fallen angels, and final judgments. Scenes that mirror the book of Revelation, yet reveal different outcomes. One such book is the Book of Enoch. The forbidden book of Enoch, the man who walked with God and never saw death. The same Enoch whose writings the early church considered too dangerous. In the Ethiopian Bible, Enoch doesn't just record visions. He describes the final war between heaven and earth. He calls it the day of the great decision. It's not fought with nuclear weapons or armies, but with heavenly forces descending upon a corrupted world. And here's where it gets terrifying. Enoch describes giant beings, the descendants of fallen angels, awakening once more at the end of days, when mankind begins to play God with genetics and creation. And guess what? He even describes where this final battle begins, but we'll get to that soon. The lost prophecy of Armageddon. In the Ethiopian Bible's Book of Maccabean, not the Maccabees you know, but the Maccabean texts, the prophecy speaks of a time when the sons of man will forget their Creator, when their hearts turn to machines, metal, and idols of their own hands. Sound familiar? And then a great conflict erupts, not between nations, but between heavenly powers, those loyal to the Creator and those who fell. The Maccabean prophecy says, the earth will burn from within before the heavens open. That's not poetic, it's literal. Volcanoes, earthquakes, and fire from the core. And after that comes the gathering of nations. The book of Revelation speaks of Armageddon, but never says where it truly is. Many believe it's the valley of Megiddo in Israel. But in the Ethiopian scriptures, the name used is Har Magadan, meaning the mountain of the assembly. And according to the book of Enoch, that mountain isn't in Israel. It's somewhere in Africa, a place where heaven once touched earth. And before this video ends, we'll uncover exactly which mountain and why it still burns beneath the surface. The first sign of the end. The Ethiopian Bible lists 7 signs before the Great War. The first one, when men begin to call themselves gods, it's happening. Artificial intelligence, human cloning, genetic tampering. Mankind is rewriting creation itself. The second sign, when the rivers of Ethiopia run red. Many dismissed this as myth, until 2021, when rivers in Ethiopia and Sudan actually turned blood red. News headlines called it algae bloom, but locals called it a warning from heaven. The silent prophets. The Ethiopian texts speak of prophets hidden among the people, the silent ones, chosen to speak only when the last trumpet sounds. Could these be modern-day witnesses? Ordinary people who begin to prophesy in dreams, visions, and messages online, warning humanity. Remember, the Bible says, in the last days your sons and daughters shall prophesy. And in Ethiopian tradition, this is believed to be happening right now. But who are these silent prophets? And where will their voices be heard first? We'll uncover that in chapter 10, the angel with the fiery sword. In the book of Enoch, chapter 56, There's a vision of an angel descending with fire in his hands, who seals the mountains and divides the seas. He's not destroying, he's separating those marked by light from those marked by darkness. The Ethiopian scholars identify this angel as Uriel or Uriel, the same angel who warned Noah before the flood. Uriel's return, the texts say, marks the beginning of the countdown, and according to the Ethiopian manuscripts, that countdown already began when the star fell from heaven, the event we now call the 1908 Tunguska explosion. Coincidence or prophecy fulfilled? The Seal of the South. In the Book of Jubilees, preserved only in the Ethiopian canon, there's mention of a seal of the South, a mysterious symbol that appears in the sky before the end. It's described as a circle of fire surrounding a star. Sounds like a solar flare, doesn't it? NASA calls them coronal mass ejections, but the ancient Ethiopians called them the breath of God, and they said, when the breath of God touches the earth, the days of man will shorten. Is it possible that the increase in natural disasters, solar storms and shifting poles are all part of the shortening, the countdown to Armageddon? The secret book of the Watchers buried within the Ethiopian Bible is the Book of the Watchers. It describes what Revelation only hints at, a rebellion not just of men, but of celestial beings. They were called Watchers, angels who descended from heaven to teach mankind, but instead they corrupted them. They taught the art of war, enchantments and sorcery, and then they intermarried with the daughters of men. Their offspring were giants, Nephilim, whose spirits still wander the earth, and according to the Ethiopian Bible, these spirits will rise again before the final judgment. The Watchers will return to reclaim what was lost, it says. Could these returns explain the increasing reports of supernatural sightings, UFO phenomena, and genetic experiments we hear about today? Enoch wrote that the Watchers would be released from their chains after 70 generations. And if one biblical generation equals 70 years, then their time is now, the hidden prophets of the internet. In ancient times, prophets wrote on scrolls. Today, they type on screens. The Ethiopian scholars call this era the Age of the Invisible Voice, a time when truth would travel faster than light and falsehood would travel even faster. Prophets wouldn't stand in temples anymore. They'd speak from nowhere, yet reach everywhere. Are we witnessing this now? Ordinary people uploading visions, dreams, warnings, many of them aligning perfectly with ancient Ethiopian prophecies. The text says, "The last voice before the fire will be digital, and those who mock it will remember it too late." But how did the Ethiopian Bible predict digital voices 2,000 years ago? You'll find the clue in the next chapter. The bloodline of the giants, hidden in the Book of Enoch and the Kebra Nagast, lies a mystery few dare to mention, the bloodline of the ancient giants. The Ethiopian manuscripts claim that the Nephilim's flesh perished in the flood, but their souls became the unclean spirits that roam the world, and that some bloodlines, rulers, kings, and secret families carry traces of their power. They sit on thrones, but are not of the light, says the text. Could the Battle of Armageddon actually be a war between those born of heaven and those still carrying the taint of the fallen? The 7 mountains of fire. Enoch describes seeing 7 mountains of fire burning before the throne of God. But Ethiopian monks interpret them differently. They say those 7 mountains exist on earth, 7 volcanoes aligned along the Great Rift Valley of Africa, the same rift that runs through Ethiopia, a line of fire splitting the continent apart. When those mountains erupt together, they say the end will begin, and scientists now warn that the African continent is literally splitting in two. Coincidence or fulfillment of ancient prophecy? The war in heaven, Enoch's version. We've all heard about the war in heaven, Michael versus Lucifer, but Enoch gives a version that's far more detailed and far more terrifying. It wasn't just angels fighting angels. It was creation itself rebelling. Stars, winds, and elements turned against their creator. Time itself fractured, and 1/3 of the stars fell, forming a gateway, a tear in the heavens. Enoch says, that tear will open once more when men open the door of knowledge that was sealed. Some scholars believe that door refers to the Hadron Collider, a man-made attempt to reach into the fundamental structure of the universe. Could science be unknowingly fulfilling prophecy? The fallen king. Over the north. Another Ethiopian text, the first Maccabean, speaks of a king of the north who will rise from the cold lands and gather nations under one banner. He will bring false peace and promise unity, but will prepare the world for its greatest war. The Maccabean prophecy says he will be crowned not by bloodline, but by deceit. Many believe this points to a global political leader, one who appears righteous, but hides a dark agenda. The Ethiopian texts even mention his symbol, and it's one you see every day without realizing it. We'll reveal it in chapter 16, the false Messiah in the desert. The Ethiopian Gospel of Matthew includes verses not found in the Western version. One says, "In the dry places he shall appear, and his words shall seem like healing." It describes a man performing miracles in the desert, drawing millions to him, both in person and online. But it warns, his power will come from the air, and his image will cover the earth. That phrase, "from the air," once seemed strange. Now we live in an age of broadcast, satellites, and holograms. Could the false Messiah in the desert appear through digital illusion, a global deception that fulfills prophecy? The Key of Axum. In the city of Axum, Ethiopia, a guarded chapel claims to house the Ark of the Covenant. Only one monk is allowed to see it. He never leaves the grounds. The Ethiopian texts speak of a key, not a literal object, but a frequency, a sound that activates divine judgment from the Ark itself. When the Key of Axum sounds, the heavens will answer, says the Book of Kebra Nagast. And in 2019, residents reported a loud trumpet-like sound heard across the city, recorded by dozens of witnesses. Was it just the wind, or was the key turned without anyone realizing? The Ark of the Covenant's location. Western scholars debate whether the Ark ever truly existed, but Ethiopian tradition is unwavering. It never left Axum. However, the manuscripts reveal something startling. They claim there are multiple arks, one in heaven, one beneath the earth, and one on the surface, in Ethiopia. And when all three align, it will mark the day of reckoning. What could alignment mean? A celestial event, a magnetic field shift. Scientists now warn of Earth's poles reversing. Could that be the alignment Enoch foresaw? The angelic army gathering in silence. In the Book of Enoch, angels are described as stars. Each star moves in its appointed place, he says. But the Ethiopian interpretation suggests something profound, that the stars gathering in new constellations are signs of heavenly armies forming. In 2024, astronomers discovered a mysterious new alignment of stars over East Africa, a never-before-seen pattern. Ancient monks call it the March of the Hosts. They believe these stars are angelic formations, moving into position for the final war. The Great Earthquake Prophecy Revelation says, "There was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth." But the Ethiopian Maccabean adds a chilling detail: the ground will speak before it opens. Strange. Yet in 2019, strange low-frequency hums were recorded beneath Africa, sounds no instrument could identify. The ground is speaking, and what it's saying could be the countdown, the burning sky. The Ethiopian Book of Enoch describes the sky turning red before the descent of the Holy Host. The firmament shall bleed as the blood of grapes, it says. Solar storms, wildfires, red skies, the prophecies sound eerily familiar. But Enoch gives a sequence. First the sky turns red, then black, then silent. And after the silence comes the voice. That voice, What is it? We'll get there soon. The return of the seven spirits. The Ethiopian Bible names seven spirits of God: wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, reverence, and the Spirit of the Lord. But it also says these spirits were withdrawn from the earth after the fall of man, and will only return when the war begins. Some believe these spirits manifest as movements, awakenings, revivals, and revelations across nations. We're seeing it, believers rising again, seeking truth, rejecting deception. The seven spirits are returning. The valley where time stops. Enoch describes being shown a valley where time ceased to move. The Ethiopian monks call it the Valley of Silence. They claim it's a real place. Beneath the Danakil Depression, the hottest point on Earth, a land where compasses fail, where even sound disappears. They say that when time stops there again, the world's time will stop everywhere. The day the moon stood still, in one ancient Ethiopian text it says, "The moon will halt her dance, and the stars will bow before her." Could this mean a lunar standstill, an astronomical event predicted to happen again in this decade? Ethiopian prophecy ties this event to the fall of a great empire. When the moon stops, kingdoms crumble, the opening of the fifth heaven. According to Enoch, there are seven heavens, and the Ethiopian text says we are now in the transition between the fourth and the fifth. When the fifth heaven opens, the veil will be lifted, the spiritual will become visible, dreams, visions, manifestations, all increase. That's why people around the world are experiencing paranormal activity, prophetic dreams, and angelic encounters. The veil is thinning. The sound, no one could explain. Across the world, mysterious trumpet sounds have been recorded from the skies. Science says skyquakes, but the Ethiopian Bible says otherwise. When the watchers sound the trumpets, the heavens will prepare for war. Each trumpet corresponds to a seal, and according to Ethiopian tradition, 5 have already sounded. Only 2 remain. The 6th will shake the nations, and the 7th will end time itself. The final warning from Ethiopia. The Ethiopian prophecies warn that before the final judgment, a message would come from Ethiopia to all nations. In 2020, an Ethiopian priest published a revelation that the covenant of God had been broken by man's pride. He said, "When Ethiopia weeps, the world will bleed." Weeks later, a global pandemic began. The beast in the market revelation speaks of a mark without which no one can buy or sell. But the Ethiopian texts describe it differently. They call it the mark of metal, a merging of flesh and machine, a world where humanity becomes data, where freedom is traded for convenience. We see it, microchips, digital currencies, AI-run economies, exactly as written. The war between light and metal. Enoch foresaw machines, things made of earth that move like beasts. Could it be artificial intelligence, drones, or robotic warfare? The Ethiopian Bible warns that in the final battle, the creations of man will turn against him. The war won't just be physical, it'll be between organic light and synthetic life. The great silence before the fire. Enoch says there was silence in heaven for half an hour. The Ethiopian version explains it as the pause before judgment, a total stillness. The calm before the storm of divine fire. When everything stops, when even nature holds its breath, that's when the end truly begins. The sign of Michael in the sky. The Ethiopian manuscripts say Archangel Michael will appear as a pillar of light, stretching from earth to sky. Some describe seeing this phenomenon already. Massive light pillars, vertical beams seen in the heavens. The text says, when Michael's spear glows, the Son of Man is near, the last gathering of souls. In the Ethiopian book of Maccabean it says, the righteous shall gather not by nation but by spirit. This means the true church won't be in buildings, it'll be scattered across the earth, united in truth. The gathering is happening now, through prayer, through faith, through awakening. The cry of the saints cry out, how long, O Lord? And the Ethiopian version answers, until the number of the faithful is complete. It's not a countdown of days, it's a countdown of souls. When the last one turns to light, the clock stops, the splitting of the skies. Enoch saw it. The heavens opened like a scroll. Scientists now warn of the sky-cracking phenomenon. Plasma rifts, auroras unlike any seen before. Could the heavens literally split? The Ethiopian Bible says yes, and through that tear, the armies of heaven will descend, the return of the Son of Man. Ethiopian version. Unlike the Western Bible, the Ethiopian text describes where the Son of Man appears. He shall descend in the place where the ark rests. That means Ethiopia. From the land where humanity began, the Savior returns. The text says the skies will open over Axum, and those who mocked Ethiopia will bow to her light. The true meaning of Armageddon. Armageddon isn't just a place. It's not simply a war between nations. The Ethiopian Bible reveals its true meaning. Armageddon is the war within man, between the light he was given and the darkness he chose. It's spiritual. Every soul is a battlefield, and when the final trumpet sounds, every secret, hidden in heaven and on earth, will be revealed. The question is, when that day comes, which side will you be standing on? The Ethiopian Bible warns, but also promises, those who seek truth shall not be taken by fear.